Hello, 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 Crafty Chris here again. Today we're going to be using up some of our backgrounds and leftover ink and stuff from when we've been doing some jelly printing. So, and how we're going to do that is we're just kind of going to go through and decide on a color palette. I'm not really feeling these colors at the moment, but they were great when I played with them. So I'm kind of liking this gold, and it's got some interesting texture on it. I won't use the whole thing, I'll just use parts of it. This doesn't really fit into that colorway, so we're going to put that in a pile to the side. I'm adding, this is an interesting texture with jelly plate and some glitter, but I'm not feeling the color mix, so this reminds me of the Cheshire Cat for some reason, but this is more wintry. I'm feeling like the wintry color, so this and this probably won't work. That is very cool. It's got some pearl essence on it. You can see it kind of shimmer from white to gold, but I'm not, well, I might be able to use some of that. We'll leave that just in case. This, I think, would work. Some bits and pieces from when I actually built that. This, I'm thinking, no, although the blue is in there, but there's too much purple. This one is, I might be able to use that interesting looking medallion in the middle. Or do I maybe use this medallion in the middle? So I'm just looking at this image. Now it's a little too dark. So I think I might play with that. So put that on the to use pile. Those are to not use pile. Okay. And then I played around with some interesting pulling techniques where the ink just kind of frayed. And I got some flowers in there. The green isn't impressing me at the top. Might be able to use the flowers, so we'll put that aside. This is just too much, too much. And if you can see that interesting texture, the pulling of this ice paste from Izink leaves a very distinct pull pattern. It's kind of cool. This is just all kinds of wrong color, but it does have an interesting gold shimmer to it. So we'll use that for another project. Nope. We could do Fire and Ice. I'm not feeling it. All right. This was, I have no idea, but it's got some interesting gold spatters on it. You know, as all over finished pieces, these don't jag me, but, you know, taking sections of the pieces, especially where that glimmery stuff is, might be interesting in a different project. That one is not working for me either, but it has an interesting texture from the glitter and the shimmer. Again, here we have some more flowers. Not really feeling them. I think I like the other ones better. This is fun. This is like a butterfly. But I'm not seeing that with that. Another Fire and Ice option. Don't think so. Had one of those already. Too much green. Too much green. These might come in handy. These little bits. Oh, I'm liking that. Might be able to add that in somewhere. This is on the gray tone side, so might be able to work that in somewhere. Too much color. Although, that does bring in some additional options. And there's another one that looks similar. You can tell the colors that I generally use. These are all too much pink in these ones for sure. So we're going to say no to those. This is looking interesting. And the neat thing about using your leftover wipe up cloths is that you spray them down again and then you open them up and you have like 2 of them. This has too much pink, but I don't know. I do want to use some of this. I like what's going on in these paper towels. So all I do is when I'm cleaning up my area, I just scrunch it up, and then these have been sprayed down already. Let's see if I have one that hasn't been sprayed down. So this is one I'm working on. It hasn't been sprayed down yet. So there's still a lot of white space, but still a lot also room for color. So I just hang on to my tissues. No, that's too much. This is more goldy looking, yeah. Definitely not that, although that is pretty awesome. It's got some black glitter paint in there. Interesting. Very interesting. This one too, but not for this project. And then I have some experiments, but I don't think it's going to work for this project. It might be just a little too much. Although maybe parts of it, maybe that part of it. Yeah. If I have to think too much about it, it's not going to work. Turquoise, don't like it. These are all greens. Don't want to bring in any green. This is all stencil work. Now this has some interesting stuff going on in here. A little too much green though. Okay, more green. Oh, and I have colors on both sides. Oh, that's kind of fun. Wrong color though. Okay, I'm going to work with what I have created, my pile. And there's like many, many, many more. I have a drawer that I just throw this stuff into to keep it flat. And I go picking through it every once in a while. So this is going to be the base of our layout. So we're going to pull apart bits and pieces of this and decoupage it, or glue it, as we like to say, down onto the background. So these pieces that aren't quite a blend, I'm going to keep to the side because I may just use small bits of that. These I think are the best starting points, and I am going to spread these out so I can still see them as I'm ripping things apart and putting bits and pieces of things in. So the first thing I want to do is rip this medallion out, and I don't care how it actually rips. It's all good as long as I don't destroy the medallion in the ripping process. And I may not use the whole medallion. I may only use a part of it coming off the side of the page or something. Let's just see. So there's my medallion. So that's good to go. This I'm keeping. I may find a spot for it in amongst the mixed. This, I'm going to get rid of some of this white stuff. And look what's going on here. Try to keep away from the white edges. So, although white edges are okay in some cases. There we go. So we got a couple of pieces here. Going to keep that. This is just white. That goes in the garbage. Now this, I'm going to rip this in half. Ish. I like one half there and then the deeper half on the bottom. So I'm going to start there and just glue these pieces right onto my page. I really don't, I put thought into it, but I really don't put a huge amount of thought into it. So I like to, you can use decoupaging stuff or any kind of art glue that you have for this. I have a tendency to use a spatula to spread my glue out. So there's a nice thin layer of glue on the paper so you don't have anything kind of bulging out. Oh, dog hair. There we go. Gotta have pets. Okay, so this one is ready to slot down here. I am actually gonna let the white space remain on the one side. On the bottom, move this a little bit. You want glue that doesn't dry super immediately. I am liking this, whoops. I'm liking this gilding glue because it has some time to play before you have to really worry about everything being down. The only problem with that is it's also sticky. So if you don't like the sticky feeling, you may not want to use this glue. So I just go up to the edges, not, maybe 1/4 of an inch from the edge, just to swiggle down the middle. And put the cap on for now. Find my spatula again. And it cleans up very well, actually. And I'm just going to run that a little bit closer. A little bit thinner. There we go. Until I've got it pretty much spread all over everywhere. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing. So we're going to line it up along the edge of those corners. All right. So I said I did not want to use this in its full entirety, so I am kind of ripping down the center, and I may just jam that in. I think I'm going to wait on that because it's a little less of a piece I can layer with. So I'm kind of liking this, and I think I like that play on the two things. So I'm going to layer that piece there. I have a little too much glue on this one, which wouldn't be the first time. I can be heavy-handed with my glue, but you don't want to be. It can make a real mess. Okay, I got extra glue on there for the next time. Now, I kind of liked it floating in around there. This one can go in a totally different direction. Too much white there. There we go. Some linear pieces. Okay, I'm gonna put that piece there. I already have some glue on this guy, so we're gonna get that off. Just add a touch more. Okay. Okay, put that piece in there. All right, so we're starting to build. Now I think I want to bring in some of this texture. Yeah, it's quite a change. I think I'm going to change my mind on that one. Okay, in the do not use, but here I have some interesting things I can play with. Okay. I'm just ripping the edges of this into sort of a, I think I'm going to go for a bit more of a diamond-y shape. I can squeeze these pieces in elsewhere, and I think we're going to do a little bit of something. I don't want to take up too much, and I don't want it to be actually a big thing to look at. I might just squeeze that in there. Yeah, I think I like the way that looks. The spatula. Now, this one I have to really make sure I get to the edges because it's more of a board than a paper. And I want to make sure that it sticks down well. Okay, kind of liked it going off the page there. And I'll trim this out after to the 12 by 12 page. And maybe this guy can go along there. Yeah. See, it just kind of has a life of its own. You just kind of look at the paper, where will it fit with the colors, where will it fit with the shape, where will, you know, seeing as there's going to probably be a photo on this because we are using up our scraps to create different things, but it's probably going to be a one-page layout. Okay, so I'm liking that. This is very cathartic. Lots of pounding can happen. Okay. So I like this piece, and I do not mind the bit of white in there. I might have made a mistake leaving that open right in the center, but maybe I can draw the eye down. So let's see. Again, this is that thick paper. You want to make sure you get it right off the edges. Sometimes it's easier to do it in your hand because you have a little play. There we go. And this is truly sticky stuff, so do I want the white up or the white down? I think we'll do it that way. Get that clump of glue out of there. There we go. It's nice to beat your paper. Some sticky on there. Sometimes it's nice to have a wet cloth just to wipe off your sticky fingers every once in a while. It does come off with water. There we go. Okay. Next. And what else do we have here? I kind of like those flowers. They're not really in the right color lines, but I think if I tear them, I can minimize that blue. Let's just get this open right off the bat. That's going into another project. And I think I'm just going to take off bits and pieces and minimize the turquoisey blue color that I see. And I'm going to keep those turquoisey blue colors because I may want to bring that color in at a later point. Okay. And there we go. So I've really minimized what was that turquoisey color that I really didn't like so much. And maybe I can just play this down in the corner here and pull some more of this blue in. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's just smoosh that out. I'm going to run that off the edge, down in that corner. There we go. Okay, so now can I put another bunch there? Sure. So let's tear this. And I think I just want the one flower. There we go. Beautiful. Looks like a square though, doesn't it? But then it's upside down. If I did some rearranging and put two pieces. So if I put that one there, that one there, or that one there, that could work. Could also work like that. Or it could just work like that, period. And then I could bring this in up here somewhere. Or down here. I think I need to bring that in down there. Maybe up there. There we go. It's just in the brain. You just look at it until you like where it's sitting. There, so that's not such. Put a little bit of glue on this one. It's got a little bit of that turquoise color happening. Okay. If I have that coming down, if I had that coming from the side over here, I had it coming from the bottom over here. I'm going to think about that one. I'm not sure I want to add that one in. Okay, so now I'm going to get some of this blue. Oh, I forgot that I had this spatter. Popped in some spatter here and there. Okay, so now I'm just going to glue right on there because this is a small bit. Small bit of spatter down here. Might continue that along that open space actually. Have that run off. Okay. And put a little piece in there. There we go. I think I'm done with that. We run some strips down this side. Let's see. How do I put that right over there, about that long? Way too much glue there. Good thing the mat is cleanable. And what if I did maybe just a small bit of it up there? Small bit. Maybe just that in the corner. Yeah, I like that. A bit in that corner. Alrighty. I like that up there. All right, so now details. 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 Okay, a little bit of this. Don't really want that. I can use that because that kind of gives me a rule of 3. So this kind of gives me a rule of 3, odd number of that particular pattern. And it also gives me a triangle. Triangles are very good in composition. This may not be as an aggressive a triangle as this piece might need a more aggressive triangle. It's hard to say. I can just get little bits of this in here, so sticking to my finger. Okay. And this blue, which I had up here, drag that up there just to pull that in a little bit more. I think so. And of course this is going to be an abstract thing in the background, and then you pull it together with a photo or two and an appropriate title. All right, I'm thinking we're getting pretty close, because don't forget we need to have mats and we don't want to cover up too much. I haven't really pulled in any of this guy yet. So what if I just use that little bit up there? some of it up there because it needs something up there. Okay. There we go. And it kind of mimics what's going on down here. I like that. Okay. I think we're close to done. So this one is tissue. I am going to treat this a tiny bit differently. I'm going to put some glue down here. I'm going to add some water to it because I want this to become a little bit translucent, which it will as soon as it gets wet. Okay. So now I'm just going to soak that in there. Soak that. Soak. The ink is coming off while I do that. And then we're just going to place it here where I thought I would like to see it. And press it. Oh, now it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Okay, so forget that. Maybe I put too much water in there. So let's just spread this out. Spread this out. And lay it down on there. It's really sticking. Struggle, struggle. So if it wrinkles a little, that's okay too. It's kind of cool to have some wrinkles. And I'm going to brush some watered down glue over top. Okay, I don't mind having wrinkles there. Okay, where's my decoupage? Get my collage glue, I think is the next step. There we go. Collage medium. Should probably done that earlier. All right. Can't get the piece of paper off. There we go. So I'm just going to lay this on top. Let it smoosh. This is matte, so it won't be shiny when we're done. And I'm just going to finish off the surface of this. Just make sure everything is sort of glued down. Yep, it's a bit of a messy job, but it's all good because you're going to love it when it's done. And this helps just to make sure everything's sealed so nothing lifts from the paper. That one's lifting a little bit already, so this is good that we're doing this. Okay, make it nice and thin. The nice thing about the mat is it doesn't interfere with any of the gold dog hair. Gold shimmer pieces. Now, it will interfere with pieces that were shiny to begin with, because you're now putting a matte surface over it. So you got to remember not to do that. And oops, sticky, sticky, sticky. And you want to, like I said, put it on thinly. Just want to make sure that everything is sealed up to the paper and has a thin coat. Oh, the colors are coming off of that. So I'm not putting that back in. All right, so I am just going to clean up a little bit. First, I'll show you what this looks like. When it's wet, it looks shiny. But when we come back, you'll see that the shine has matted right out. So I'm going to clean up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is our finished page. It's dry enough that it's not sticking to me, and that's really all you care about. So maybe that spot. Just rub it in until it stops sticking. There we go. So now I'm just going to trim it all down, and then we're going to work on a layout for this. So big job, big cuts, big scissors. So I always use my long blades for long cuts to make sure you don't run into any troubles. If you're using short scissors on long cuts, you get a very jagged line. Okay, you could cut this with your trimmer, but it may or it may not be dry enough for that, because if it's slightly wet, you could end up with some tearing happening, and it could tear right in to your layout page. So I'm just trimming this off. All right. So I'll do the other two sides, and I shall be right back. Okay, so I'm all done trimming. A couple of things about sticky glue. I've had some questions, and a couple of points. When you're using really sticky stuff, it's usually a better idea to use metal than plastic, because the sticky stuff has an easier ability to stick and stay with plastic than metal. The other thing you want to know is that there's a couple of different ways you can get sticky stuff up. If it's water soluble, and it truly is water soluble, you can wipe it off with water. If not, then there are a couple other methods. You can use a simple hand sanitizer to help you with that. You can use, and once you get the majority of the goop off, then you go back in with your glue eraser to get what's left off. Or you can use baby wipes. You can use alcohol. So any of those things I would try before I throw anything out. I even use this eraser on my hands, because when you've got just a fine little coating left and it feels just a bit tacky, just go over it, your fingers or wherever it's sticky with this, and then you just pull it off and throw it in the garbage. Anyway, all right, so now we're going to decide what this is. And for me, let me straighten up my camera a little bit. And for me, I kind of see this as, I don't know, it looks kind of like moody to me, sort of maybe stormy, but there's flowers and there's some light in there and some dark in there and kind of cloudy looking. So I don't know if this could be some kind of a rainy day page, or it's pretty generic. It could be just about anything. So I am going to pull together a layout using my, if you've watched me before, you've seen me use these before. So these are my templates that show me different sizes, and I just choose from that how I want to lay out. Now I want to make sure I'm not using too big a picture because we want to keep some of this visible, but I also want to make sure I'm not using too small a picture because it covers it up. So let's see, the last page I made was that way, so this time we're going to go this way. And actually maybe I can just cover up a tiny bit of that. Or maybe we just make it a feature page, which we can do. And a feature page can have a 5x7, but that 5x7 is going to cover up a lot. So definitely not a 5x7. Is there a possibility for a 4x6? Yes. 4x6. I like what's going on down here, but let's see. I don't want to get too many photos on here because I actually like what I'm seeing in terms of technique. That might be a little too big. Let's see. Go back to the 4x6. That's a little better. 4x6 there. And we have to have a place for a title of some sort. And maybe a square one. A 3x3 square, or yeah, 3x3 square. I don't want to cover up all of what's going on in the flowers, but I kind of have to align it with what's going on. Maybe something like that. All right. So this would be definitely a layout that I would use little strips for journaling so that you can separate them so you can still see what's happening under the page. And now we just need a title. And to be honest, in terms of decorating it, I don't think I would do very much because it's quite an active page, other than those strips for using it for your journaling. I really don't think I would put much else because it is quite, like I said, an active page, and you don't want to diminish what's happening in terms of the energy of your mixed media stuff. Oops. Oopsie. Alrighty. So I think I'm going to start that. And I have black letters. And my black letters are in here in my black container, where all black letters should be. Now, I do have some pre-made things. They might be a bit small and insignificant because they're fairly, yeah, they're fairly fine. I think this needs a bolder approach. Look at those letters. That's bold, but they might be just a little too bold. So I think we're going to stick with these letters. And I want to put them in this area here. And let's see, what am I going to say? That's the hard part. Okay, so I'm looking on this, and I like create your own story. So I have to use 2 different sizes of letters. And this is often where I'll get my titles. And that says patience, kindness, and courage. And I could make it, shorten it down to be kind, be courageous, be patient. So be at the top, kind, courageous, and patient. So those are some options. And then let's see what else we have in here. We have all kinds of different letters. So I have those funky text letters I could use as well. They're a little smaller. I have these that might go a little bit better with this because they're blocky too, but they're smaller. Let's see, what else do I have? I think that's about it. So, the first thing I'm going to do the create your own story one. I like that one. So I'm just going to leave that up there. Not going to use the long and thin. I'm going to use the bold. I'm going to get my liner upper tool. That's the official name, the liner upper tool. I'm just kidding. So Thickers has a product to use with the thicker layer things, and I don't know that I want to do see how this kind of swerves. I don't think I want to do that because there's not really enough room for it to swerve back and forth. I can do an arch, but I don't really want to do that. I think I'll just keep it straight. Just keep it straight. And you can hear the phone in the background, so I apologize for that. So now, the first thing I'm going to put on here is the word create. I'm going to use my big, bold letters. And I'm going to show you how to use the liner upper.
Okay.
All right, so taking the letters, I want to write the word create, and I'm going to do it all caps. And how we use this ruler is it's 2-sided, so you want to make sure you're on the side that reads properly because the paint that they lined the ruler with is on the back, and depending on how aggressive your adhesive is for your letters, it could take off the grid. So you want to make sure that you can actually read the word. It's not upside down or backwards. And you measure up and down on the grid how far you want to place your letters in so that when you lift the whole thing, it's supported to line it up on your page. So just to show you what that's like, I usually just use the first 1/8 inch, and it doesn't matter where you put it along here. If you're doing a whole page title from one side of the page to the other, then I suggest starting here. I'm just doing the word create for the first word, and I'm going to line up the side of my letter with the biggest what do you call that, bar, I guess. And I have a sticky mat on my table, so I can stick this down temporarily, and make sure you push well onto that piece so that it sticks onto that piece. And then the next letter is, I'm going to give it about the same spacing, about 1/8 of an inch. And that already looks crooked to me, but it's it's a hallucination because and sometimes you get that with certain letters because foam bends quite easy, and you can just play around with that. But there we go, we're back. And an E, and so literally I'm just leaving 1/8 of a space, 1/8 of an inch between each of the letters, and just laying them out, making sure they're nice and straight. So I'm going to finish the word and be right back. All right, we're back with the page, and I have my create here ready to roll, but I've thought of something. Now, I don't have to have it in the position that I originally created it in. I can turn this around to any position I really want. So if I prefer it that way, and I put my 4x6 there, and my 3x3 here, and my 2x2 here, or maybe I want my 2x2 here, or my 3x3 here, and my 3x4. I don't know why I'm saying 2x2. Like I can decide whatever angle I want my paper to show. So this is where we started. So this is one option. This is another option, which kind of looks cool. If I think of things like this, I'm covering up that watery bit there. That's too spread out for me. Okay. Or I can go like this. That's the third option. And I could run something across there. Put something here. And something here. Or I could put this here. And this down here. Line them up. Do something like that. But I think that looks a little heavy. So I could do this way. Could keep the same layout. But now I feel like I want to put this down here again. And maybe we could line those three up across there. And then I'd have some space for doing my, oh, you know what, I don't mind that. Or we could go back to the beginning and maybe change this to going in this direction. Maybe move it over here more central. And then we could have this lining up there, that lining up there. Something like that. Okay, so I don't really know which way. So there's that option, or I liked this option where they were climbing from the bottom up. I think I'm going to go with this one because I like the space here for putting journaling. Nice. Okay. So now, where am I going to put create? How big is create? What if I did that and that? Could do that too. Or I could stack them one on top centered. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to move it into the flowers a little bit. Line it up this way and this way from top to bottom. Give it some space. I can do my journaling there. And I could put create over on this side. I think that's the way we're going to go. So, in doing that, let's get some repositionable tape, which I should have some somewhere. I reuse my repositional tape all the time. Okay, so that, let's call that a 1/2 inch from the top. Let's do this guy, 1/2 inch from the bottom. Need some more tape. Make sure it's repositionable, especially when you're doing mixed media, because with mixed media, if it's slightly damp, you can pull it right off. Okay, so there's about where that's going to go, and that's going to go about there. Alrighty. And just to make yourself sane as you use things that are handy or have their storage places handy, just put them right back so you don't have as much cleanup in the end. Alright, so there's the beginning. Here is my create, and I am going to start my create centered on this first piece. Now, here's the neat thing. So, if you hold your ruler straight, and it's great if you can line it up with a set of lines across the ruler. That really helps you to make sure that it's even and centered and spaced properly. Then you just carefully push down everything, make sure that it all looks lined up. This guy looks a little bit loosey-goosey. There we go. Then you just put your hand on the letters and pop up your ruler. The ruler comes off, and then you just make sure to push down the bottoms. And that's it. And there you have your first word on your page. And then I'm going to put your own story underneath, or your own and story underneath, kind of mimicking what we have going on here. So I am going to get those letters put on my, and these were foam letters. Foam letters are a little bit more awkward to work with than chipboard letters. These are chipboard letters. Let me show you that they line up exactly the same. Okay, so chipboard letters, your own story. So I am going to put that all on one ruler, and I'll just put down what I want where I want. Now, I don't have it the right side up, or I did, but I had it upside down. There we go. So I want to be able to read thickers. I'm going to start on this side because I'm going to put the whole your own story on at one time. So, same thing. These are less flexible. So when you start them, pick one of the thicker lines and just have it go up from there. Okay. And give myself some space, but I'm going to tighten up the space a little bit from what I had before. Y's and A's you can have a little tighter because the bottoms and the tops don't take up as much space. There we go. U and U's are pretty good. Give them the space they need. They're usually wider letters. And an R. Okay, so there's my word your, and I'm going to finish the rest. While I was away putting my letters on my ruler, I remembered that I have photographs of me cleaning my office space, my office / craft room space. So I'm going to have this as a before and after, or before and after shot, and I'll probably end up with a second page to this, but I thought this is kind of cool. So I'm going to, instead of your own story, I'm putting your own space, and your own fits nicely underneath, and space will have to go under that. So I always have to stand when I do this. So I think I'm going to center it between the two things. Press down on my letters. Put pressure on the letters and pop up and I still have my space. So your own, and now this gets centered in the middle. I can play with these a little bit still. Okay, push those down and pop out. And there we go. And there's my title, Create Your Own Space. So I am ready to plop in my pictures and do my journaling. What I might do quickly now is just show you what I've done for journaling. So I keep all kinds of journaling things that I get on sticker sheets and whatnot. And I also don't mind cutting up old white paper and just creating different size journaling spots. So when I do that, it gives me a whole bunch that I can use on my layout. And some of them, I've actually got the corners flagged, so I can use those as well. So let me just dig in here, and I'm going to take these guys, and I always do odds, even if I have to force it to I want to see if I have some different sizes here. These guys. So I have a couple of different sizes. I also have a die that will cut these. So I've got a couple of those, and a couple of those, and that looks like it's the longest. Okay, so let's see. I am going to cut this one in half to make it shorter, just to have some variety. So, oh, that's not the same. Wait a minute, is that and that the same? Yes. Okay. So I am going to cut one of those, and then I'm going to add a third one of this size. All right. So how I'm going to treat these is I'm going to cut this in half with just any old scissors. So I have underneath my mat, I have a paper grid that gives me measurement sizes. And so I'm just going to pull that back. I'm just going to take my thing and center it. From both sides and trim down the center. Okay, so now I have a short one, and then I have a long one, and then I have a longer one, and then I have a long one, a short one, and a slightly different size. And there we go. So there's my journaling pieces. I don't mind that these cover up because you can still see a lot of the background. So all I'm basically going to do is attach these onto my sheet. Now, I am not going to leave these spaces here, so I'm in effect going to trace where they are. So this is going to be the first one, this is going to be the second one, this is going to be the third one. So that's 3, 6, 8. How did I end up with 8? It's not uneven. So I think I'm going to grab another one, another smallish. another smallish one, if I can find one. There we go. All right, now we have 9, and that makes way more sense to me. All right, so now I want to trace where these guys are laid out. So I'm going to take a pencil and carefully go around the outside edge, because I may, not sure, but I may mount my photos on something. So now when I take this out, I can barely see the square, but I can write in here that this is a 3 by 3 photo, and I know where it is supposed to go. And then I can do the same thing for this one at the bottom. Make sure I get it lined up. And this is going to be four by 6 photo. And then this lines up in between the two of them at the same edge, a little bit. There we go. And now and I'm pressing it down a bit because with mixed media it's difficult. And this is a 3 by 4. All right, now I can sort my edges just underneath that. And if I'm going to take off a 1/16 of an inch because I'm hiding it underneath, I have no problem with that. So this is my first box. I know where my ends are, so I'm going to make sure that these are glued down at the exact spot, same distance, and I'm just going to use some tape. Glue is too messy for this job. All right, whoops, nothing came off on that end. Now I'm tucking one end, the flaggy part, and I'm going to go down about a 1/2 inch, so that's the edge. So that's going to be about a 1/2 inch and about 1/8 of an inch in. And I'm going to try to line it up from the side so that when I put my picture back here in its spot, where are you? It's covering the pointy edge. Okay, now I'm going to put the bottom one. Do the same thing. And I gave that a 1/2 inch from the bottom, so this is going to have a 1/2 inch from the bottom. Guesstimate that the distance between the two things, or I could use a ruler just to double check. That's about right. And then this one I'm going to tuck in about the same, about halfway. Now when I'm looking at that, is that straight? Oh no. I also realized that my thing isn't straight either. That's going to be interesting too. Okay. And now we're going to put this one down. There we go. And just have that a bit in. Try to center it. There we go. So that when I now put my 3 by 3 photo on here, in its place. I actually don't like that. I'm going to move them closer to one another. That's too matchy-matchy for me. So we're going to leave like 3/16 of an inch instead. There we go. Just get that piece of adhesive off of there. And I'm going to double check that it's even. And this one looks uneven because this end is thicker than that end, but otherwise, when I put my guy back in there, there we go, I like that better. Okay, so there's info on that one. We'll do this one, so I'll do the other three and then you'll see the finished product. Okay, so I've traced each of my cards onto my layout and written what size photo goes in, and I've done some lining up of the pieces of tag that I'm using for my journaling, so those fit in there. That fits in here, and more or less I'm just jamming them in there for a moment. Okay, so this is what they are now looking like. And how I did that was I just simply took my pieces, decided what order I wanted them in, and adhered the back with just some tape runner. And this guy is about in the middle, and I'm going to give, this guy is just going to go over the line just a smidge because we know the pencil line is on the outside edge of the photo, so we want to make sure that we have enough underneath the photo. So this is that. So that's about steady and even, Stephen. Now I'm going to put the second one down. Oh, I taped the wrong side. Oh, that's annoying. So you just take the tape off with your fingernail, or if you have a pickup tool or something. Alright, so I'll do that off camera. And I will just steal this one and do this one for this demo. Okay, and I'm just going to put that about 1/16 of an inch in, so I know that it will come straight out. Now this isn't even. This is wider there than there, and this is wider there than there, so that's interesting. I must have been tired when I did the cutting of that stuff. And I usually cut this out of my scraps. Okay, and this one is going to go underneath. Same distance apart, more or less. And I'm going to double check that everything looks fairly straight. Yep, can't be straight. So then when I put my picture in, those ends are tucked underneath. You don't see the points or the cut line or anything, and then you have your journaling. Alright, so I'm just going to finish off and we'll see the finished layout. Okay, so here is the finished layout. Imagine photo, photo, photo. You have your title, all of your beautiful work in the background, and your journaling spots. And it's interesting because sometimes until you get to this point, you may not be happy with the background. There was a few things I didn't really like that I didn't think sort of fit in, but now that I've got the layout on top of it, like the organization on top of it and the title on it, I'm really happy with it. So don't toss anything out. Just put a picture on it or add it to a card and put a sentiment on it, because you never know how it's going to look until it's done. So I'm very pleased with this, and I hope you had an enjoyable time with me tonight. So we'll see you next Thursday. Bye now.